How's it going, everyone? Got another book review for you today. Today we are doing The Secret Language of the Tarot. This is by Ruth Ann and Wald Amberstone, with a foreword by Mary K. Greer. There are typically 3 books that I will recommend for people who are trying to learn tarot. This is typically the first one that I suggest. The second one is The Kabbalistic Tarot by Robert Wang. And the third is The Book of Tokens by Paul Foster Case. This one here will teach you how to read tarot purely on symbolism. It gives intellectual exercises and things like that as well. But let's just take a look at the table of contents here. The table of contents shows, in Chapter 1, crowns, pillars, the rose, and the lily. One of my favorite things about this book is it breaks the cards down based on their symbols. Chapter 2 is paths, mountains, and crosses. Chapter 3, moons, stars, and pools. Chapter 4, horses, suns, banners. Makes me think of the sun card. And not just because it said suns. Chapter 5 is armor, blindfolds, and feathers. And I don't know if you're noticing a trend here, but these symbols are related that are grouped together. Castles, clouds, gardens is Chapter 6. Chapter 7 is rivers, towers, angels, and temples. And then the appendix has exercises and spreads. So this is a really, really interesting one. And what it does is it, like, for instance, it has a section on crowns here. But then it breaks down the different types of crowns, like a diadem or a glory or a corone. Then it gives examples of different kinds of crowns in the tarot, like the horns of Isis. The high priestess has the moon. The diadem of the zodiac and the empress. The domed crown and the emperor and the tower in a lot of versions. The papal tiara and the hierophant. The celestial diadem on the chariot. The toothed crown, justice and the 4 of pentacles. Glory, temperance, and stylized diadems like the kings and queens. So then it will show like various pictures of the cards themselves, and it highlights them. Like, it actually dims out the rest of the card, and then it highlights where it is on the card. For instance, here on the hierophant, there's this complex crown. On the chariot, there's this one. So this is a really interesting one if you want to learn about the symbolism. And it breaks down what these individual crowns mean as well. So, for instance, a diadem is a crown in the form of a circlet around the head or around the ceremonial hat on the head of a royal figure. It is a symbol of divinely supported secular authority. There you go. That's the difference between a diadem and, say, a glory, which is an arc or a circle of rays around another visual symbol, suggesting divine inspiration or protection. Moving on, let's give another example. Let's see. In the section of paths, mountains, and crosses, there are different types of paths. And it even gets into a section about Buddhism and the Noble Eightfold Path of Buddhism. So, there are meditations in here as well, which I love. The different types of paths are, like, for instance, the Great Path of Return, the Path of Ascent, and then we have like a mountain path. There are different paths, a path leading to a lake. These mean different things, obviously, but for those of you who don't know that, this could be exactly what you need to hear. Now, we're getting into mountains. So, the Ten of Swords features mountains in the very background, and then either a sunset or a sunrise. I tend to think of it as a sunrise. Judgment has mountains. The Moon has mountains. The Tower, Temperance, the Hermit, Lovers. Did they not mention the Fool? Interesting. The Fool also has mountains. Now, depending on what the mountains are doing or where they are, they mean different things. So, in Judgment, the mountains are solid ice, as harsh an environment as you can get. But the symbolism is pure Kabbalah. Remember that every tarot trump is a path on the tree of life. And this is one of the first paths that leads up and out of the ordinary world. Its destination is a place of ice-cold intelligence, where the laws of nature are made. It's a place of mind, but not heart. A very lofty and rigorous landscape, not intended to provide the least bit of comfort or safety. All right. Moving on. So now we're going to speak about the mountains and the tower, just because it's a totally different symbolism. The mountains in Judgment were tough, and so is the forbidding mountain peak of the tower. But here the mountain is literally a peak experience. This is the absolute highest point you can reach as a natural, physical, and psychological human being. It is the symbol of the roof of the natural world. And, of course, on the roof is the lightning rod of an ambition to reach beyond the limits of nature. So it's also the Tower of Babel. But beyond this point, you run the almost certain risk of being struck down by the deadly storms of unknown forces. You can't stop here, but you can't go on as you are. The mountain demands that something major in you has to change. All right, moving on. Now, it gets into different spreads. So symbol spread, crossroads, path, and mountain. So there each section has a type of spread as well. This spread, the crossroad, path, and mountain spread, makes use of the concepts discussed in the classes on the crosses, paths, and mountains. And it is ideally suited for readings involving overcoming an obstacle or achieving a goal. The layout is made up of 3 separate parts: the crossroads, consisting of 4 cards, the path, consisting of 4 cards, and the mountain, consisting of 3 cards. The crossroads. To begin, shuffle your deck and divide it into 4 piles. Next, keeping the cards face down, arrange the piles into the shape of an equal armed cross with an open space in the center. Turn the top card of each pile and orient it so that the bottom of the card is at the center of the cross. Contemplate these 4 cards and choose the one whose energy best reflects the direction you wish to go at this time. It may be that this direction shows the most promise in helping you achieve a goal, or it may signify the lure of something important or mysterious. Indicate the card/direction you have chosen by turning the other 3 cards face down. The path. Take 4 cards from the top of the little stack of cards you are holding and arrange them in a path pattern to the right of the crossroads. You can play with the shape of your path, but we suggest something like this. The nature of this path can be external or internal. The cards may suggest actions to perform and things to consider or observe along the way. They might represent events you'll encounter and the best way to respond to them internally as you continue on your journey. The cards that make up the path benefit from contemplation. Even when their message seems clear at first glance, their deeper meaning will often be revealed over time. And then we have the mountain, which is 3 cards like this here. The mountain is made of the next 3 cards in the stack. Place them at the end of the path, 2 on the bottom and 1 on top, like this. The 3 cards describe the way to climb the mountain of the goal you are reaching for, or the obstacle you are striving to overcome. These cards will also give you hints as to the best approach to take. And then additional considerations. If your goal is not realistic or attainable at this time, the cards that compose the crossroads will let you know. If none of the 4 cards present a clear or acceptable choice of direction, it would probably be best to wait a while and try the reading again another time. If more than 1 card looks good to you, chances are you'll find success more than one way. However, take the time to contemplate the cards and choose the direction that has the strongest pull. Okay, now, there are a lot of meditations and exercises and things like that. There's an angel experience where you can essentially provoke an experience if you read what it's telling you correctly. Then we get into building of the temple, which has a lot of relevance if you are doing astral and etheric things. Think Merkaba, think pathworking, think astral projection. We have the section on living darkness reading, which is all of these are meditations as well as actions that can be taken. So this section on templates says to, when doing a tarot reading, be aware if you can that you are manipulating a mystery of many parts. You and your querent alike are mysteries. As in any issue that concerns you, be aware if you can of your true stature, and let your readings be filled with light. We are at the end. Nothing more can be said that would be useful. But before we go, here's the living darkness reading. Close your eyes. Breathe and relax. Surround yourself with darkness. Take the time to make the darkness complete, and then rest within it. Become conscious of the darkness, as alive and aware. Find the pulse of your own awareness within the darkness. Be slow and thorough. The darkness is now complete, and it includes you. Nothing separates you from it. There is no difference between above and below. Here is the same as there. Now is the same as later. Inside is not different from outside. You are a living darkness. Experience this fully. In a moment, you will open your eyes and see the world, but you will stay in a meditative state. The living darkness will remain with you, fully aware within your awareness. Take 2 deep breaths and, when you are ready, open your eyes. Stay in a meditative state and keep the mystery of the living darkness within you. Clear your deck if you know how. Then shuffle it as you shuffle, and let a question arise from within. Wait for it. Don't force it. When you are ready, lay out a spread to answer your question. Read with the secret knowledge of the mystery that surrounds you and illuminates the cards from within. Then we have the symbol spread and preparation of building your temple part 2. This is something that you can use as a working. This is something you can use as a meditation. Most of these things are usable in more than one way. Okay. The appendix has exercises and spreads in it. Chapter 1, referencing here, crowns, pillars, and the rose lily. the appendix is showing you where these things are in the book. And then the index actually shows different references of things. So, for instance, if the name Adam is used, then on page 139, it talks about Adam. It tells you where it is. It's very typical to most indexes and appendices, so to speak. So, this has a lot to offer, and it has more to offer than just tarot meditations, okay? If you learn what these symbols mean, you can use them in your path working. You can use them in your ceremonies and your rituals much, much, much more effectively. Anyway, that's it for this one. Symbolism is very, very important. Do not sleep on this book just because you don't use tarot or you don't want to get into divination and all of that stuff. This will help you build inner and outer experiences. Anyway, that's it for this one. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them below, and have a great rest of the day or week or month or year if you so choose, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Take care.